But the utility of it is making money for a company. You're trying to get people into a company's business. I don't really want to create content for the sake of creating content. It's just stupid to me. This is actually something that I'm trying to teach and or translate and or tell to other filmmakers who might believe that it's helpful to their process. I just got finished shooting some commercial work for a company here in Birmingham, actually 2 companies here in Birmingham. I wanted to translate some of the things that I've learned from this experience and also some of the best practices about shooting content for restaurants, which is exactly what this was. This was shooting for a bakery and also shooting for a coffee shop chain, mainly doing social media type stuff. And I kind of approached it in a different way than traditional like vertical video type stuff. So let me kind of jump right into what I initially learned and the decision that I chose to make in the very beginning of the process, which is equipment. You don't need bought equipment. It's nice if you have it. It's great if you can, afford a corporate level camera to have on hand. To me, the most important thing about the equipment is the image you're delivering to the client and also the workability of said image. So I went with the Red Komodo specifically with this in mind. The Red Komodo is small, it's maneuverable, it's got a global shutter, it's got gyro data for stabilization, it's got nearly 15 stops of dynamic range, it's got 6K codec. Like it checked all of the boxes as far as corporate work is concerned. And so initially, my first thought was Red Komodo. I chose to rent this camera, and there is a sickness among YouTube filmmaking that I think is predatory by its very nature, and it's run by the companies who sell products to this market. If you're gonna be a filmmaker, hone your skills, and then worry about your equipment. There are pieces of equipment that I own that are great. Like I own an old Red camera, but it's an old Red camera. It's an old Red camera. It is nearly 10 years old, maybe even more. And the reason I have that is because the only thing that I shoot on my downtime is narrative stuff. And I don't need a Red Komodo for narrative thing. Would I love to own a Red Komodo? Obviously. I think most people would. But the utility of it is making money for a company. You're trying to get people into a company's business. Rent your camera. Find the best piece for the job. Don't buy things because you don't need it. And I promise you, if you structure your business correctly, renting is gonna be much more profitable than buying will be. I promise you that. I ended up using an Easy Rig. I love the stabilization that you can get in post with the Red Komodo, and also you can crop in on the 6K image that it produces, so I wasn't really worried about stabilization in post being an issue. I needed to be maneuverable, I needed to be in tight spaces, I needed to be able to take the weight off my arms for the camera because I'm gonna be shooting for 12 hours, which is exactly what happened. Overall, the Easy Rig for me is the most versatile piece of equipment that allowed me to get really run and gun type shots at such a high level that the Red Komodo can do. Pre-production for something like this is a little tricky and a little finicky. A lot of like documentary style, restaurant style content is really hard to plan for unless that you've been in the business, which if there's anything that I've learned, I would recommend going to your location first and or locations and really feel out the area, feel out, what kind of lighting you might need, fill out how you're gonna be shooting on the day. I would say step one, information gather, talk to the owner, find out exactly how they want you to market their business, because that's gonna influence the kind of shots that you get, that's gonna influence your storyboard, that's gonna influence your reference material, and then go to your locations, scout them, that's gonna influence your equipment, that's gonna influence your lighting. So pre-production is almost 80% of what you're doing. Now let's get into the actual production day. First day, we started out at dock style in the bakery, in the kitchen, getting them prepping some pastries, prepping some bread, getting the dough, shooting the oven, just various type dock stuff. By speaking to this owner, he really wanted something that told the story of the business, and everything is handmade at this bakery. And so I really wanted to focus in on that handmade aspect and also connect the viewers into the behind the scenes of the company. And I think that we did a pretty good job of telling that story by, highlighting the employees and highlighting the process of the bread being made and being there at 5:30 a.m. to watch these things being prepped for the day. And you're gonna make sacrifices like that, and that just is what it is when you're filming. I think that majority of filmmakers know that this is not a traditional job. You really have to tell your story in the best way, and if telling your story in the best way requires you getting up at 5 a.m. to get to a bakery before they open, that is just what you do. After we got the prep and the dock stuff, we went over to the coffee shop and got dock stuff there. We got some really tight shots of preparing coffee and serving to customers, getting the entire space because that's important as well. After that, we went back to the bakery just to gather any kind of prep and or bread making that wasn't already captured. And then we started the studio stuff. I personally really love when companies take time to film their products or film their best sellers and or film what they can produce in a very high quality way. And so studio time was really important to me, and on location studio time as well, because you want to connect the product with the place. Even in the initial emails and even the initial conversation I had with this company, I said, listen, if we're gonna document your company in the best way that we can, we need to be able to have studio time. And so 2 of their employees were gracious enough to stay after closing. Luckily enough, the bakery closed at 3, so we had a ton of time in the afternoon to be able to set up shots for specific things. Yeah, and so we just got studio shots of everything, and we did the coffee stuff on the front of house in the bakery, and then we did the pastries and the bread on the inside of the kitchen because we wanted to connect the product, obviously, with the piece of the business of where it's, being created.
Okay. So we are about to film the bread, the pastries, and some food items. We've got an overhead light for pretty dramatic contrast, and then silhouette light to get some of the highlights on, like, flour dropping on the pastries, things like that, to accentuate some details.
Man, let me tell you what, we're putting this light here, we're putting this light here. We're about to shoot pastries, bread, some sandwiches, overhead lighting, some whatever you might want to call that, silhouette lighting to add a nice shadow. And I think that's it. My face probably looks really sleepy.
We're gonna be turning off all the overhead lights and leaving the hood light on the oven on and then also some closet lights as well to create some ambient light in the back. So yeah, almost there.
Yeah, all in all, it was a great shoot. I cannot complain at all. It went way smoother than I expected. I think we always foresee some kind of schedule and or change due to, just being a filmmaker documenting life. Like, life changes extremely fast in an extremely dynamic way on its own. And if us as filmmakers are to document that correctly, we have to kind of be on our feet. So I think we assume that that's gonna happen. And yesterday it didn't happen too much. And I think that that is a testament to the pre-production that we did. I have to give a huge shout out to my friend Nick. He helped me as a PA on this, and he is a genius when it comes to lighting. He's an actual real estate photographer who does interiors. And so his understanding of lighting is really important. So I would say if you're going to hire anybody or have someone on set with you, don't bring anyone on set for the sake of bringing someone on set. It typically makes the process more cumbersome. Bring someone on set who typically delivers a specific skill, because what you're doing as an independent filmmaker is you're playing director, you're playing, DP, you're playing PD, you're playing everything. And so if you can fill in those holes of where you're deficient, like for me is lighting, clearly, I don't know what I'm doing with this scene. In conclusion, I would say this is my understanding of restaurant content and or, service industry content. This is how I've approached my shoot, and this is kind of what I've learned. And I hope you take some stuff away from today and are able to use it on your own. So yeah, I've inserted some B-roll and some, various type shots from the day. I tried my best to get some behind the scenes stuff. Again, huge shout out to Nick for being able to do that. So I guess, hope you guys liked it, and hopefully it was helpful. And you should buy a new lens by Zero.